Auburn basketball is in March Madness. Not that it was really in that much of a question, but Auburn versus Iowa, first round. They're a 9 seed. All those things we're talking about here, reacting to on this edition of E2C Network Live. We appreciate you joining us. Let's get into it right now. Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us for an impromptu live stream, a reaction show as they typically are, where we just kind of throw it out there and see who is ever live, who wants to talk about these particular things. Auburn is in March Madness officially. We all saw this coming, right? We knew pretty much that we were going to make it. There's always that little bit of doubt in our minds and our hearts. But thankfully, we are here to discuss today and react to Auburn making the 2023 March Madness against Iowa in Birmingham, of all places. As you can tell, I'm very excited about this. Wanted to do a very short live stream and reaction show, mainly hearing some of your reactions too. So go ahead and get involved in the show. Make sure that you start off by smashing that like button if you enjoy this type of content. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button, all those good things, the normal routine of things. But how you can get started for us right now is by posting where you're watching from, your city, your state, international, any of that stuff with a War Eagle. Let me know who's here, who's hanging out with us, especially live, and you can do that on the replay too. Final bit of information that I want to give some of you guys that are privy to our normal routine that they know is coming up tonight. So if you're watching this on the replay, maybe not as important, but just bear with me for just a second. We are still doing our live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast tonight. It's normally at 9 Eastern time, which is only 40 minutes away at this point. We will be delayed on that. Not sure of the time, but just stand by. Look for an update about that coming soon if you are looking forward to watching that tonight. And lastly, check out the link in the description below if here on YouTube. We've got our bracket contest open live now that you can join for a $50 e-gift card from Alumni Hall. Check that out. All right, that's all the boilerplate stuff. Let's jump into it. Say hello to a few people already popping in here. Jay, Thomas, AU for Life is here. Good to see you guys so much for hanging out with me. Thomas has got his dancing shoes on. I think we've all had our dancing shoes on, just maybe not tied completely for that fear that somehow, some way we would not be put into the bracket. I think a lot of people took exception to the fact that I was openly saying, especially on some last live streams, that Auburn was not a lock into the tournament. I didn't think they were a lock, but I didn't also think that they weren't going to make it. I was pretty confident that they were. I've seen crazier things happen. For some reason, the committee seems to hate Texas A&M. I haven't really looked into why that is this year, apparently, but there's people talking about that. So I've just seen people kind of get the shaft, so to speak, when it comes to committees. So I always kind of in the back of my mind think that could be happening to Auburn. Thankfully, it is not happening this time because we are in this thing and in one of the best situations that you could ever find for an Auburn fan and March Madness. It was good last year, folks. What was it? Greensboro, basically close to Clemson somewhat, I think. South Carolina, that some of you went to last year for the first round. Pretty easy drive, very close to the heart of Auburn territory. You don't get much closer than Birmingham, Alabama. How cool is that? How cool is that? I also will tell you that we are going to talk about this on the Auburn Experience podcast, but I kind of wanted to get some initial thoughts and opportunities for people to respond on this particular dedicated live stream for us and reaction show to kind of get things started off tonight. AU for Life says, like our odds versus Iowa, as long as they don't get hot from deep. Houston also is missing one of their better players. I think that sounds familiar, is right. So he's already like looking ahead. I'm right now focused on just getting there, taking care of the things that we need to take care of, and not so much worrying about what they're obviously the coaches are worried about that and the players. But for us as fans, we just need to make sure that our team offensively shows up and that we do the things defensively that we know that we're capable of. But yes, obviously, I think you could have had a lot worse draws as Auburn fans. I'll be honest with you. I have not even looked at the bracket completely yet, but just because the sheer mania of Auburn obviously getting to, even though we knew it was going to happen, right? Most of us still were kind of holding our breath just a little bit, getting over that initial hump, the hump of it being in Birmingham and just the sheer excitement of that. and then trying to figure out what time it was, what session it was, when you're going to buy your tickets. Tickets were as low as $60 to start off with before we knew the exact time. And the second that time or the session was announced, which is session 2, Auburn's the first game of session 2 that day, tickets doubled instantly. And so I immediately jumped on that as well and ended up paying, well, I won't tell you the exact amount I'm paying, but I have 2 tickets and I have someone who's using that ticket. So I'm not offering it up to anybody at this moment. But I am going to be in Birmingham for March Madness, my first ever March Madness game. I had hoped it was going to be last year. It did not work out, but going to be there in person to witness this thing happen. So excited for anybody else going. If you guys are going, let me know in the comment section. Would love to know who is going to be there hanging out with us in Birmingham at the game. We could be there all weekend, folks. If Auburn does what it's capable of doing, maybe not what is expected of it. 8 versus a 9 seed. Those are really, really just pushes in most people's category. 8 or 9 could win that in 50-50 draws pretty much. And I think, as AU Faux Life said earlier, really depends on the Iowa team that shows up. It also depends on the Auburn team that shows up too, right? So a favorable matchup in terms of first round where it's probably going to be a good game, where it's a decent opponent. And so you're going to get, probably some good basketball out of all that money that we're all spending to be there. And you don't have to travel that far if you're from the area. So the bad part, Birmingham will also be hosting the other session. The Alabama Crimson Tide, I believe, are playing in town. Early, I think that's on Friday, I guess, is when that one would be. But it's going to be full of Auburn and Alabama fans up and down Birmingham. We are basically having the Iron Bowl return to Birmingham with the amount of Auburn and Alabama fans that are just going to be, well, they're already there, but flooding that city. 5:50, I believe, is the time that the tip-off is now set. I believe that's what it is. So the first of session 2, Houston, and did I see Western Kentucky after that? I could look on my ticket stub real quick and confirm that for you. Iowa versus Auburn, Houston versus Northern Kentucky, not Western Kentucky. So obviously that one probably won't be that much of a game, but yeah, it at least should go chalk, is what most people would think. Although 15 seeds recently have done some good things. Fred says, I will have to go to Birmingham. You don't have to do anything, but you get to go to Birmingham, right? Hopefully you'll be there with us. Devin, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Tempted to look at the ticket prices. Thomas, don't unless you're ready to buy. Because A, you're going to hurt yourself. But when you get on there, you're probably going to see something that's probably not that bad of a deal and get on there. And here's the reality, folks. There's going to be some tickets that are probably still remaining. And there's probably going to be some tickets that you're going to end up paying less for if you wait long enough. I wasn't really willing to risk that this go around. So I am going. I paid my money. I'm not even thinking about it anymore. I have a little piggy bank fund that I put money in. So when moments like these come, I don't even have to think about it. That's what it was ready for with the Auburn Final Four potential run last year. And obviously that didn't work out. NCAA wanting that ticket money. Yes. And they got plenty of it from me just a second ago. You might just mosey on down the road to be in the atmosphere. Yeah, that definitely. So if I wasn't, I'll be staying with family in Birmingham, and I'm sure we're going to be doing some carpooling stuff. So if I wasn't beholden to that, I would say we should do a meetup for E2C people in town. But unfortunately, I don't know what my schedule is going to be necessarily. But I will be there, probably wearing an E2C Network shirt. So come up and say hey if you can. What other reactions do you guys have to this game? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you glad? Are you relieved? Are you frustrated? What is your impressions of the location? I mean, the location, I think everybody loves, right? That's a consensus. The time that you're playing, the opponent that you're playing, your positioning in the tournament. Like I said, we're not even really discussing the bracket itself right now. I haven't even looked at it. So I'd love to know some of those things. Also, especially for a lot of you regulars here, I know I'm giving you a lot of things to answer right now. But what I would love to hear from you guys is when you would love for us to do our bracket prediction show, tomorrow night or Tuesday night. Which would you prefer? Because we're going to do one. We're going to talk a lot more about who's bringing you our bracket challenge this year, Alumni Hall, on that particular one. But you can use the link down below to log in and join for that $50 e-gift card prize that you don't want to miss out on. Really thankful for them this year to get involved in that. But for me, I really don't think you could get much better than this, right? Other than Auburn being the number 1 overall seed, like Alabama is in that Birmingham regional. But then you would have a boring game then, right? Maybe ticket prices would be a little bit lower. Because your second game would be, if you win that first game, would be the better of the two games. But can't really go wrong here in Birmingham with Auburn versus Iowa and being so close to home. If we're going to catch fire, this is the time. I'm excited. And man, if we can knock Bama out, that would be incredible. Well, keep in mind, we're not playing Bama, right? If you're saying like further down the line, I haven't looked at the bracket to see how it plays out there, but we're in the Midwest, they're in the South region, I believe. It's really confusing the way they do these things. Honestly, it is. Because in fact, I'm going to look something up just so I'm not talking out of my butt, so to speak here. Want to make sure that I confirm when Alabama is playing. Sometimes you will play in the same city, even though you're not even part of the same bracket. It's the weirdest thing. It really is. When does Alabama play in the March? I know this is a basketball show, so most people are like, oh, they are playing Thursday. So it'll be that morning in session 1. So we will not play them in that particular thing, but maybe down the line somewhere, if we last long enough, if they last long enough, we might have that opportunity to do so. But for right now, who you need to be worried about is Iowa. And then if you pull the win off, then you need to be worried about probably Houston. And I forget who they're playing in the first round. Likely, though, a 2 seed is, or I guess, I don't even, I'm looking at the bracket. I feel like I'm looking at the bracket all wrong on this particular one. Is that who it is? Let's just pull this thing up. Kyle's talking through his butt right now, not paying attention to exactly what he's saying. So bear with me just a second here. All right. Number 1, Houston. I had it right. So number 1, Houston playing Northern Kentucky. I had it right in my mind here. You're just going to be playing Alabama. Alabama will just be in a different side of the bracket playing there. What else haven't we talked about in our initial reaction show that I just wanted to get you guys out there? If there's something we haven't hit, post it right now. Devin says, my brother said he thinks we have a good chance to beat Iowa and Houston. Now, here's what I will say about go ahead and prognosticating. Regardless of who it is, regardless of the opponent for Auburn, in a situation where it's 8-9, it really is supposed to be a 50-50 toss-up. You're right in the middle of the seeding. That's what it's intended to be, right? So that provides a good opportunity there. There is some, like earlier somebody brought up, that Houston may be missing a player or two. That obviously works in Auburn's favor. I honestly, I'm not really ready to step out on a limb and say Auburn's ready to beat a team like Houston, a number 1 seed, and upset them. But we've seen them do it before, right? And go on a nice little run in the NCAA tournament. And what better way to do it in Birmingham if you can? I am just surprised Auburn got this favorable site as a 9 seed. And if I was a Houston fan, I would not be too happy. Well, so I want to bring this to your attention here. So think about it. So you've got a South regional, a Midwest regional, a West, and an East. And usually you're going to have the higher the pick you are, the higher the number. If you're the number 1 overall pick like Alabama, you obviously get the most advantageous place. So they went to Birmingham. Duh. Outside of that, they're going to make decisions on what makes them the most money. So it's no shock that Auburn ends up somewhere close when they're a decent enough seed. When they were, I think, they had 12 seed when they made that run in the tournament, or a 10 seed, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. They sent us out to the West because they were like, Auburn's not going to make it that far or have that good of a showing. Here, where Auburn's at least decent, you know they're going to bring a lot to the table. You know they're going to bring a lot of fans. It's no shock that they put them in Birmingham, to be honest with you. So Houston, unfortunately, right, doesn't get the best draw. It could have been like somewhere in Texas, but could be a further drive or flight than Birmingham. So it's not the worst thing in the world for him. Also, the chaos scenario of Auburn and Alabama in the NCAA tournament is for the championship game. Yeah, looking a little too far ahead there, but that would be absolutely amazing. And I don't know that the college sports world can take an Auburn and an Alabama championship scenario in any sport. That would literally just cause us to all implode within ourselves there. All right, real quick, we're going to do just a few more maybe comments and questions. So if you've got those, bring those up in the chat right now. Would love to hear from you. Again, a couple reminders. If you are a regular viewer of our Auburn Experience podcast, we are going to be doing that live recording tonight. It's supposed to start in 30 minutes. We're not going to make that time just because of this and some other things I've got going on. So just stay tuned for that. But we'd love to have y'all there, have y'all on the replay. We'll be discussing a little bit of that, the episode 27 and some other things in the Auburn Experience sports culture family. That's what it's all about. Be a subscriber, be a channel member, or a Booster Club member. Any of those things are huge help. Check out the other links in the description, especially that bracket challenge contest for that $50 gift card to Alumni Hall. Don't miss out on that. We'll be talking about them more on our bracket preview show coming up very soon. Again, if you got opinions on if you'd like that to be tomorrow night or Tuesday night, let me know. Love to hear from you guys. Michael, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Anytime, anywhere, especially in Birmingham. Absolutely. I had that all wrong. See, Devin, I'm just so like flabbergasted right now. I couldn't even remember what seed we were back in that day. We were like a 12 seed when we went on a nice little run to the, it was something like a 12 seed when we went on the Sweet 16 run, like in 2000, was it 2003, where we faced Carmelo Anthony and the Syracuse Orange, who went on to win the title that year. Thomas says tomorrow night sounds good for the bracket. I'll be honest with you. I'm leaning towards tomorrow night for the bracket preview show, but still haven't made up the mind yet. That's why I was looking for a little feedback from you guys. All right. So again, just a very quick, brief reaction show. Wanted to get some initial thoughts out there. And thank you guys so much for those of you that were here live, sharing yours as well. Hope to catch you here coming up very soon on the Auburn Experience podcast or on another live stream. Be sure to join us for our bracket preview show, which will be earlier this week, and Wednesday night for another edition of Auburn Family Night. Got a lot of content this week leading up to Thursday, where Auburn is in March Madness yet again. Super excited. You should be too. Auburn is dancing, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. War Eagle.